Hello, I am continuing where I left off, and somewhere after about one third of the plus a little over one third, I thought I will recapitulate with what I had started, what I had covered a little, and in the end try to stay on course. This thing started with how to make a prototype with for small electronic products, fast, low cost, accurate, and most important is available resources. And all electronic products, I think all of you will know, probably start with a schematic. It is clear and full analysis is possible for the schematic, meaning after you finish the schematic, you can run a full multi-mode analysis, purely digital, purely analog or combination of both, and these days RF and high frequency related to the circuit. Now, when you convert it into a printed board, we end up with a slightly different thing, because lot of parasitics which are not known end up with the circuit. Now, we come to this problem. No, the schematic further now has plus so many things. Loosely I will use the word what do you call, some inductance, then I will put a capacitance, then I will put some other unwanted these things, and lots of temperature dependent problems, because the moment temperature comes, all these things changes. Now, added to that, we need to split everything into manageable subassemblies such that it is easy for us to do, easy for us to go about trying to do manage things, saying let us say some circuit can be improved now, you can always change it, or next release can be done. Mind you, we are talking about hardware, we are talking about physical form and hardware. This is not like okay, let me put it the other way because it may not go well. It is a little less free compared to a software module. Even there you need to organize things properly. Next is you end up with several other elements like connectors, control elements. In the case of control elements, there is both a display as well as a actual device which is controlling it, meaning switches and so on, which will includes, for example, keys, switches, potentiometers, rotary devices. Why did I set potentiometers? Because in the case of audio and mixers and all that, typically there will be slide pots, and rotary devices can be anything which you rotate, and switches can be rotary, keys can be press and what you call press and release, and you can have potentiometers and combinations of all these things. In your circuit or schematic circuit, all of them end up with a very simple, I will put the good old snake and arrow, but reality it is not a jungle full of snakes, it is something which is full of circuits and physical components. So, when it comes to physical components, we end up with various things technically, or as part of the schematic element, they are all the same. They have the same thing. Keys can be multi-position or anything, potentiometers and so on. Next we come to a large number of display elements. The smallest thing is probably a status indicator, which is just be good old something which changes color, something which another element indicates. So, we are all familiar with this, we are all familiar with these things. If you have a motorbike or a car, you know the thing saying, it shows that everything is all right. In relation to something which says it will light up only when something is wrong. In case of power failure, it does not mean everything is all right. No. So, let us say there will be one big indicator saying everything is fine, and second thing is warning lights. In case something is wrong, we know the warning light comes on. Then these things are in a way a little bit of detracting or distracting when you need to focus on whatever element you would like to do. Then for those purposes we end up with these things. Buzzer could be audio, or it could be a piezo continuous indicator, or it can be a vibrator like what we see in our cell phones. So, even if you carry it in your pocket, you know that something is waiting for you there. And a 97-year-old Professor Goodberg has been given the Nobel Prize for improving on the lithium cell. So, read about it. That news came about only I think maybe a few months back. He says there is going to be an improvement. You have enough time. Mind you, that gentleman is that professor is 97 years, and then he says power sources are still the thing. However, if you focus on it as a advantage that you can eventually live a happy life. So, I am not distracting. I just wanted to tell you a phone like this particular phone I chose because it has a battery which they claim is 5000 milliampere hours with small print. You do not need it really, because 3000 milliampere hour batteries seem to be lasting longer, and this has a battery which I cannot even guess what is inside. Oh, I think I should show it here like this. I will show it here. It lasts quite some time, but all of them have one nuisance saying you need to charge it, and as of now nobody has come out with a rechargeable battery for these things. There are rechargeable batteries, but they are not good, they are absolutely no good. And I am waiting for the time probably when you have a wireless charger. So, I wear the wireless charger, it will directly charge it. The issue being, as the technology progresses, we are ending up with lot of cells which occupy more space than anything else you can think of. Now, we come to the interesting part of it. Where does one start? Okay, it is hidden at the back. See, where do we start? First thing is, where do we start? Where do we stop? Looks tough, no? Life looks tough. If you remember, I will get back again after a little while. I wanted to show you a practical seminar timer which we could all use. I am sure which you also need to do. If it is not a seminar, you can practice it, and if you are a professional, you probably need it all the time. So, particular device needs something to set the time, and we come to what looks like a very simple thing. Can we have an on off switch? And why are there two of them here? You understood? We have ended up with two of them there. I will tell you, I think if you have followed my lecture earlier, in the timer we made, there was a master switch to start the system, one more switch to start the countdown or count up. And can we now do something and end up with one big master switch, saying this master switch, when I press start, it probably system is on, one more time it starts the counting up. Then I have something here which either blinks or tells me when it is, and I press a stop, and I think you would have guessed what to do. Now it comes to the point like that. At this point we probably need to work with other people to see how well our idea can be presented. At this point, it is worthwhile making a simple prototype using available resources directly with you. if you are lucky like us, we have a huge I mean unbelievably complex workshop which can do mega all the way to nano projects, but fortunately I have no access to that, and hence I can talk authoritatively on how we can make these things. Most important, let me tell you one more time, because I have ended up the whole thing like that. Do I start with a method and show you, or do I make a framework and then go back to the method? So, I started with a simple thing, this you would have seen, and went and showed you a small project that could be made, and I am coming back and interlacing or interspersing the work and showing you. First thing is function of the product. You have seen that, no? That particular small timer, though it looks simple, it does have several functions. One of them is the presenter needs to know where he stands, rather how much time has elapsed, how much more time we have, and the session chair has to know how many more are waiting and what is the running time. So, it's very distracting if both of them keep looking at the time like this. I have done it in some of these lectures, but pardon me. Then this ergonomics is how well you can operate the thing. Say in our case, nothing will happen. If somebody oversteps a little longer, nothing will happen. Even if somebody trips on the in a fashion show, nothing will happen. Everything is fine. And in fact, certain what you call things are used for as part of the marketing gimmick. I think you know what I am talking about. So, ramp walk falling is common, and you too must have seen where one what you call actor fell down and another actor picked the shoes and walked along. Leaving that, say obviously there is a little bit of ergonomics about things like shoes. One of them is the aesthetic element is real, the clothes I wear, everything. What I am shows by what you see. And same thing it is with products. I have one of the cutest, I do not know how somebody hit up on it. The advantage of this cute product is there is a small dongle which goes into the computer, and then I can play with it and show, you have seen this. This hunter's moon is rising slowly behind me. You know, that just one of those stupid puns, and I can even point out or make you follow certain things, and I still have this pen. Now, we come to the thing of how easy it is to operate these things. It is simple, I can keep it inside, and I understood it as wireless. So, I need not point it anywhere, it just works on its own. Then aesthetic elements seem to be very, very critical. So, I have two, I do not know, I think mouses is quite acceptable. If I say mice, it looks funny. It is just a pointing device. In fact, I have two of them. One is extremely shiny and one is dull. Okay. Both of them have a wheel, both of them have their switches, and the one that is shiny also has some place where you can grip properly. Common thing, no more tail. I was holding the mouse in the wrong way. First time when it came, when I found the tail this side, I was holding it this side and called the person who sold the computer saying it is not working. Then he told me, yes sir, you cats will never understand, blah blah, I leave all that. The advantage is, if we are to make this part saying, you decide upfront what is the function that is required, how much of it is very critical, then the ergonomics that is required, then the aesthetic elements that are there, and positioning here refers to positioning in your mind with respect to the marketing. Marketing again is not selling, If somebody tells you a lot about your product, that hype will probably reduce your chances of acceptance. However, you suddenly discover that it is useful, I have it, I am surprised at it. This is made for a person who does a presenting. It is not similar to the one which we had here. Once upon a time we had this thing, it is not similar to that. This is exactly meant for this PC. So, I can write anything. Goes well, and by just touching it, now everything vanishes. Now suddenly I discovered this just now, like last week my senior professor was talking, I was very happy about it. Here we come to the important thing, saying this process is iterative. So in this context, probably a mouse is not that useful. Okay, I am sorry, mouse is not, I won't say useful, that appropriate for this, but then this device only works with a touch PC, and it's big, that is all I can tell. So I will now go on to the next slide. Lot of my material I have used from Ulrich and Eppinger. So you can just try to see Karl Winger, Ulrich and Steven Eppinger. What look like very simple things here, he has taken what I feel is a very appropriate thing. As of now, the best chair has not been invented. You pay more and you are not very useful. However, if you go to a dentist, you notice the dentist chair is made for the doctor very well. A dentist chair is a beauty, unbelievable beauty. Similarly, I will not use the word barber. If you go to a surgeon and any of the apparatus you are likely to see an operation theatre, all made specifically. Have seen that is where this ergonomics plays a very crucial part in it. So the cover itself shows everything, and my suggestion is, it does not matter which edition it is, go get one and buy one. It is something worth keeping for life. Stealing I do not agree, but maybe you can borrow and pay in kind. I must use this word MIT, then it gets a, and this is where medical, sports, technology based companies, so that is a beauty, and Eppinger is probably continues with MIT. Not easy. So one thing I would like to point out, that Sloan School focuses in management of complex product development process. So this is a small subset of it. Probably the very starting point of it is, you need to find out what is the marketing position that you require for the product, because technology is a fairly standard, but how do you trade off all the various issues and make something is very important. So in this book, several of them have come. One of the thing, if you see, there is this product development process. Important thing is this, planning and customer needs are the important thing, saying what does the customer need. Then you come to industrial design, which integrates all these things. I have worked with 2 industrial designers, but by practice I am not I do not have a degree in industrial design. but I am a management person. So, I go through all these things up to here I go through. Now, which we come to this important point, you see, prototyping, and something related to this is managing and economics. This is where I wanted to stress on the thing, saying if there is an inexpensive way of making something quickly, it is fine. As of now, rapid prototyping is still a little more expensive than what we think, unless the channel or people call it the whole ecosystem is established, it will take time and it is expensive. Prototyping essentially helps organize the internal elements and external interface. I am sure you too would have read about how stressful and how complicated it is to operate a machine tool of the earlier generation. Things are I mean, there is no way of easily operating it, everything is complicated. You have something which is put somewhere away, you need to turn, and you need something, and you have a bar at the bottom, and they are all very widely distributed. It is not easy, absolutely a problem. So, we have a little about, loosely have used the word physical interdependencies. Physical interdependencies talk about how things internal to the structure affect the external dependency. So, even a small thing like this wireless which I am carrying, everything depends on everything else. So, we know about it, and finally we come to this thing, saying how do you touch and feel the object and how people feel comfortable about it. Most important is that touch and feel is our interaction with the world. In fact, one extreme, they say a world may not exist. It is a little like the matrix, saying maybe we are being run by something blah blah. So, right now this is not a philosophy thing, but once you do this prototyping and do something about it, hopefully leads to an optimized offer. And again, I think if you had followed my earlier lectures, you know that this is not a single man or single team effort. The output depends on several things, including even what looks very simple here is, it has, I understand it has an RF, and it has so many things, and it has also I do not know what you call that, USB, and how it is working I do not know. Obviously, somebody has thought about it and put everything neatly in a beautiful case, and this is where it comes. Even it falls, nothing is likely to happen. Most likely this one is a thin aluminum extrusion, and by definition 5000 series extrusions are quite strong. So, if they had packaged everything except for external physical damage, it will not get damaged easily. Then all the keys very peculiarly are soft, whole thing is soft, and there are no pokey surfaces. So, the moment I got it, I liked it a lot. Sadly, there are 3 cameras here, otherwise I would have stolen it, and probably this wireless can be activated and they can find out where I am, otherwise I would have stolen it. I started with this, if you remember. This is using some 3D modeling software. We came out with a nice front panel. This angle has been fixed, probably a little bit of study has been done, and things inside have been nicely arranged, and we have ended up with a reasonably good form, and the punchline is it is improved over the existing one that we have, and this is taken in a what you call printer at home. And if you had followed my lecture, you know that this one faces the session chair, this one faces the what do you call the presenter, and this is part of the other makeup, and the whole thing has been made in it has been made in available cardboard and presented to an audience of not the users. Users also will eventually come into the picture, but to the other group, saying is it possible to make it. While to me it looked like a fantastic idea, there were some shortcomings in it, which right now while it will be distracting, I will tell you. One of the things is saying, even if you have it here on the table, people will be distracted, they will keep trying to look at it, which is not correct. So, logically it should be where the presenter is looking, but not that easily visible to the others. So, good old wall clock mounted on the wall in the normal time probably will make sense, and only the auditory buzzer will make sense, anything else is a redundancy. So, I will go back. These are supposed to be some, I do not know, some concept wise. A very simple thing like which I was showing you earlier as a switch to switch on and off. When you actually look around for the components, you end up with all this what you call too many options, not easy to decide what to do. Here they have just been sort of scaled approximately, and there is a certain what you call expectation, saying if you have a switch like this, obviously 0 and 1, I will not know what 1 means and what 0 means. Is O is out or is it I is for in or what it is, I do not know. On off seems to be okay, but what next? So, a color coded is better, but again once again its placed positioning is wrong. Traditionally it has been accepted that green is for start and you press anything red which is for emergency stop and for all stops. So, they should have been rotated. So, what looked like a very simple way of organizing things, suddenly we will discover it is not as simple as it looks. And if you want to make a full fledged prototype, it is expensive. One of the first thing is you will be spending a lot of time on follow up. Contrary to the case stories you hear, 3D printing is still not as easy as it sounds. Still you require a person who will be able to deal with it. So, as I have explained earlier, a very complex surface like this does not print well in 3D, because still it is a build process and somehow somebody has to still do something to make it useful. So, that thing about touch and feel does not automatically come with these things. However, few things like organizing the inside and showing to the downstream fabricator, it is useful. and which we come to the very, very important things. Every part in this needs to be designed. It is not as easy as it thinks. Understand, no? So, every part of it needs design. So, we end up with probably having to learn solid modeling, and design of parts is still a specialist activity, and for the first timer it runs to be a trial and error. Unlike a hobby in which things are fine, in this case things are not that fine as it is, and as I have explained to you here, if it is a flat geometry, it is much better to be done in using some other form. Typically, again once again, if you have followed my lectures, typically it is done either by hand or by cutting flat sheets. Typically they could be acrylic, polycarbonate, or so many of the other things, all by using a laser cutter. But even there, if you just make things and try to assemble them, it does not work well. So, I had given you an example of the Raspberry Pi, Beagle Bone, and so many other things, where including the Arduino, where the boxes are available. While that is okay to try and learn about Arduino and use it as a subsystem, but if you were to build an actual device like this, I do not think that is the way. You do not need to make something as bigger, it has to look like this or like this. I am not sure whether it has what is the device it has inside, but in the end it is packaged well. CNC machining needs expertise. It is not as if you just give a file and they call firing a job. It needs trained operators, and it is much more complicated. The only advantage is, first time if you make a beautiful proven design, making changes and improving on it is very easy, extremely easy, and multiples are easy, and mirroring is easy, and for the first time after a long time, design, that is conceptualization, detailing, manufacturing can be far away. You can design something wherever you understand the market, and wherever probably that particular item is in, it is useful. Get it detailed elsewhere, where engineering design people are sitting there, and finally get it manufactured where whoever is ready to give you in the time, in the job order quantities, and at the eventually leading to cost. So, and laser cutting also comes to the same order. This I will skip through a little. Simple desktop or laptop is enough. Lot of free modular softwares are there, which I have showed you. Laser printers, meaning paper laser printers are available. You can share, you can huge amount of friends and expertise is available, and any amount of these resources are there on the internet saying how do you organize a front panel. This obviously is part of some game. This is real, this is all part of, actually equipments are available. This is, I am not very sure it is actually retro or it is a style or whatever it is, this is still current. You can fall back on this, and you can always make a model using these things. I think I have gone through earlier, we made this. How we have arrived at it, I will continue later on. This is something which can be used as part of the 19-inch rack system, but still be a table model, and our concept did not come out, rather what I have written did not come out, because I wanted these things to be visible, very distracting, and at best it can be described as ugly. Somebody it says it looks like an advertisement for a circus. This is a real product that was made, and mind you it was made 20 years back, Advantage of it is it can be used in a rack, it can be used as in a table, and it has all the elements of acceptability and its use, and it does not follow that 3 by 4 or 4 by 4 matrix keyboard on one side and a display, and the old 8085 kits with the start with go 1C00, that is what we all were brought up with. I will repeat this again after I continue this lecture, and I will stop here saying the devices that are shown there are all meant for being fitted into this rack, saying there is something called the for you rack and how the dimensions have been derived, how the height has been derived, this width and the depth, and more important is saying it should all be manufacturable and repairable, because these are not single use throwaway product, something which is made is expected to last forever. So, thank you. I will continue this from this point next time. So, thank you.